Hello, friends. I am so excited to share this really fun technique with you. This is going to be our Friday Fun project. And normally I like to keep kind of a simple project for Friday Fun, but this is perfect. And it also goes along with a blog hop that I'm doing. So it all just kind of worked out. This is the bubble technique, and it is so fun. I have to admit, I've tried this before, but did not have success. But I think I have it all figured out, and I'm so excited to share the technique with you. I think you're going to love it. So this is my card. I used the Beauty of the Deep bundle, and you can see I even put a little bubbling on the inside of my card. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I do have a couple of tips and tricks for you, especially how to manage your mess. And I think you're going to love the card. So let's get started. I am starting with, you just need a small container, and I recommend having a towel or a rag or paper towel, whatever, just something to cover your work surface. You can see I've made quite a mess, and you just want to make sure that you keep things tidy. Now I've got this little bowl, and actually I've got two. These are little, just little clay pots that I have. And you are going to start with just a little, you just want to cover the bottom with water. Maybe a half an inch is all. You really don't need much water. And then you're going to take some dishwashing soap of some kind. I've been using Dawn because that's what I had. And you can see I just drizzled a little bit in there. It's not a ton. It's just a little bit. I don't know. This is not like a hard and fast measurement situation, just so we're on the same page. Okay, then what you want is some re-inker of some kind. And I have, well, I had, here we go, Starry Sky. Now I'll show you in a little bit my experiments, but I did quite a few of these before with different colors, and you want to go, let's just say, a heavy on the re-inker side. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so 8 or 9 drops, because I really want to be able to see these droplets. Okay, I'm just going to swirl this all together a little bit. And then I have a drinking straw. I believe mine came from McDonald's. You can nab one from wherever you need to. I didn't have any on hand here at my house. So what I'm going to do is blow bubbles into this, and you will splatter a little bit as the bubbles grow. And you want the bubbles to grow to be pretty big. So I recommend practicing a little bit on scrap paper. You can use any kind of paper. For my card, I am using our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. Now this Fluid 100 paper works so great for this technique because there's cotton in it, and it helps absorb that ink right away. And you'll see why that's important here in just a second. Okay, so I'm going to blow. So once the bubbles literally start coming off, we've got bubbles on here. Okay, I'm going to keep blowing, and I'm going to keep catching the bubbles on my card. Okay, so then I'm catching the bubbles, and you can see it's leaving the bubble marks. And what's fun about this is every time you do it, it's going to turn out a little different. Okay, so here we go, and you can leave the bubbles sit on top. So I just keep repeating this process literally until I have kind of my desired effect. Okay. All right. So I'll just I'm trying to get some in the middle here. There we go. I think we've got it all. All right, so there's my bubbles. Now, every time I've done this, and then you can see it comes out, it's when the bubbles spill over the side, they've got ink on them, so it does leave a mess. So you want to make sure you've got something to keep your work surface clean. Also, I don't recommend doing this if you're wearing white. And if you change colors, clean your straw out or have a second straw just because you don't want to mess that up. Okay, so I feel like I've got the bubbles that I want. So that was my practice round. We wanted to make sure we've got this all down. So now let's make our card, okay? I'm going to start by, we're going to do a little emboss resist. So I'm going to take my embossing toolkit and I'm going to drop my embossing buddy all over this. And then I'm taking this piece of coral from my stamp set. I'm going to ink it up with my Versamark ink pad really well. Okay. And then I'll stamp this right on here, pretty close to the bottom. Okay, and I'm just making sure that I don't rock my stamp, but I'm giving it nice firm pressure. If you've got a Stamparatus, that's really a good idea to use because it's kind of a big stamp. Okay, I'm going to pick this up and put the powder on. And I love this coral. It's just so pretty. I caught one little edge there, but since we found it before we heated things up, we're going to be good. Okay, then let's melt the powder. Just throw the lid on here first because, you know. Okay, so I wanted to do that practice one with you just so you could see a little sample of it, and then you'll see on our second one how exciting it is because this embossing is going to resist those bubbles and it's going to be so cool. So I think you're going to love the look. Just making sure all my powder is melted. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's go ahead and do our bubbles once again. This time you're going to see that emboss resist action happen. All right, so let's open my my protected space up once again, and here we go. Also, I have no idea if my face is in the camera. If it is, you're welcome. I guess we'll see when we watch the replay of this. Okay. Getting our bubbles. I'm just going to do one last pass. Okay, so there we go. And look at how that fan coral just pops out. It's so pretty. I lied, I'm doing a little bit more on the bottom. Okay, so now you can just sit and let this dry, and as the bubbles pop, they will leave the ring on them, which is really fun. If you're impatient and don't want to wait for the bubbles, that's okay too. We don't judge. You can pop them yourself, but the longer they sit on there, the little bit darker they get and kind of the cool ring they leave. But honestly, it doesn't matter. So as you can see, every time you're going to get slightly different results. Now we're going to let that dry for a minute. And once again, I'm going to put this all away. By the way, make sure you really rinse off the outside edge of your container when you clean up after all this, because it does it does go spill over the side of the container and you can get yourself a little inky. Okay, now I want to show you some of the other pieces I did and experiments that I did. So I started out with some bubble bath. I was going to go in a different direction with this project, but I didn't like it very much because it just was really too soft a color. And so I mean, these are pretty and we can certainly make something out of them. They're fun. They just weren't what I was thinking of. Then I switched over to Tahitian Tide, and I thought, okay, let's do more of like a sea ocean situation. And while I liked this, it was really light. So then I added some more re-inker, and you can see these got a little darker, which was great. And then I switched over to a much darker color, which was the Starry Sky, and that's what I ended up going with. Oh, here I mixed the Tahitian Tide, which was really just a big blob, and then I got some of this over the top. So then I just kept practicing and playing around, and I really liked it. I also tried, this is Tahitian Tide cardstock with the Starry Sky bubbles. I didn't like that as much because it just wasn't as defined as on the white paper, but it worked if you want. So these are all my little experiments, and it was really fun playing with them. Now let's turn this into a card. I still have a few bubbles. We'll just kind of make that finished. All right, now I want this to dry. So I am going to heat it up, but I'm being careful not to spend too much time on my embossing area because I do not want to remelt that powder. I just want to dry my paper. Okay. And I think I need to trim a little off my cardstock to make it fit my card, but that's fine. Okay, so this is, I just love the look. It's so unique and different. And I think you can really have fun playing with different colors. I also think that if you put like a different color in, so obviously this is a dark color, but when I first started, I was using Bubble Bath. If I wanted to put another darker color into the mix, that might have been fun too, to see how the two colors react. I didn't try that, but that was just an idea. Okay, so now we're gonna give that just a little more time to dry, but I wanna stamp the rest of the pieces for my card. So I'm gonna take this big kelp piece, and we'll stamp that in some Granny Apple Green. And I just have a scrap of Granny Apple Green cardstock. Okay, and then we'll die cut that. I'm going to stamp one of our fish. I kept thinking just keep swimming, but I didn't have a Dory stamp. But I think that would be cute too. Okay, so we'll stamp that right there and die cut it out. And then I'm also going to die cut the big piece of coral, that die with a scrap of what other color would you do coral from but Calypso coral? All right, my card base is a half a sheet of Orchid Oasis cardstock. And then I've got a layer of, so this is 3 3/4 by, or no, 3.5 by 3.5 by 4 3/4. Now that I just trimmed that down ever so slightly. And we're going to adhere this to our card. Now, because we've got, kind of some crumple or crumples, whatever, in our cardstock, I am going to run a lot of adhesive around this. I'm going to go all the way around to the very edge of my card with my seal. You could use liquid glue too, and then I'll throw a little in the center. And that is going to adhere really nicely to my cardstock, which is 3 5/8 by 4 7/8, or just maybe a skosh bigger than that, to be honest. But that looks fantastic. And then I'm going to pop this up onto my card because everything's better popped up. I think we can all agree. All right. next up, I'm going to die cut those pieces, and then we'll put everything together. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, so we've got our die cut pieces. Let's go ahead and put our card together. I'm going to take some dimensionals and pop up this piece of kelp onto the card. Like so. And I also need to stamp my sentiment, which is just a note. We'll do that in Orchid. By the way, I do recommend doing that before you pop things up, but we're going to make this work and it's going to be just fine. There we go. Okay, so that was Orchid ink on our bubble background. Then I'm going to attach the coral, my Calypso coral piece, with a single glue dot. Now you could use your silicone craft sheet and some liquid glue if you want, but this is actually going to work just fine. We'll put that right there. And then I'm going to pop up my little fish over the top of this coral. So cute. And when I was making this, I knew it needed some bubbles coming up, and I decided that these in color pearls were the perfect way to add some bubbles to our card. So I'm just going to use my Take Your Pick tool, and I'll pull off some of the Orchid Oasis ones, and I'll put one kind of right above our fish so you can kind of see that's what it is, and another one over there, and another one over here. And isn't that just adorable? Now we need to carry this theme throughout the inside of our card too. So I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock, and I just want to stamp the inside with a couple things. So again, we've got our coral, or we have a stamped coral image. So we've got our die cut piece and we've got a stamped piece that we can do. So I'm going to add that right here near the bottom, not quite at the very bottom, but close. I also am going to add, this is a little sea urchin, and we'll put him in with some oh, what is this color? Orchid Oasis. Sorry, I had a kind of a brain fart there. And then I also have this little seaweed piece, and we'll use some Parakeet Party for this. I've got Parakeet Party and Granny Apple Green, and I'm just going to stamp that a couple times like that along the side. Okay, now I'm going to take a piece of my bubbles that we've done, and you can either cut off a hunk off of one of your scraps that you did, or you can create another one, like another scrap. And I just need like a 1/2 inch, if that. It doesn't need to be much, but we're just going to adhere this to the very bottom to kind of carry that theme throughout, because I think it's such a fun look. So this was our practice piece, by the way, that I just sliced. And I'll attach that to the very bottom, just like that. And I'm also going to add another sentiment. By the way, my sentiments are from the set Go To Greetings. I'll show you that here in just a second. And we've got Thinking of You. Ooh, that was kind of crooked. It'll work though. And it coordinates with the same font as the front, which is Just a Note. So we'll go ahead and put this to the inside of our card, and what a fun project with these bubbles. Isn't that awesome? And here is that stamp set. Once again, Go To Greetings to go with the Beauty of the Deep. Now, I was thinking about other ways you could do this technique, and one of the ways I thought would be really cute is we've got this cute little girl here, and she's got her nose up to this butterfly, but what if she was blowing bubbles? and the bubbles kind of came out. So that was one idea. That was actually kind of where I was going at first with my pink bubbles. Of course, the sea turtle stamp set, anything, kind of oceany would be so cute with this. Also, just making a fun background. So what if you tried doing it in a few different colors on one piece and then just adding a sentiment? I think that would be really fun. So there's a lot of options for this technique. I hope you've loved this so much. If you could give me the thumbs up, that would really help with YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel right over here in the corner. And thank you guys so much for being here with me today. I would love to hear what you think of this technique, so drop me a line in the comments. All the supplies I'm using today, of course, can be purchased through my online store. You can link through it up here, and have fun shopping. Don't forget, bonus days is almost over, where you earn $5 for every $50 you spend during July, and you can redeem those coupons in August. And have a great time with this technique, guys. I can't wait to hear if you try it. See you soon, friends. Bye-bye.